In the eastern part of Nigeria, some hundreds years back, there was a royal palace stands as a testament to the rich history and culture of the community. When a devastating fire engulfs the palace, the people are left in mourning. But through their collective grief, they find strength and unity. As they come together to rebuild, they uncover hidden treasures and stories that breathe new life into their heritage. This tale explores themes of resilience, community, and the enduring spirit of a people who turn tragedy into triumph. In the lush green hills of Enugu, where the sun kissed the earth with golden rays, there stood a magnificent palace known as the Oku Palace. It was the heart of the Umuokoro community, a place where stories were told, traditions were celebrated, and the spirit of the ancestors lingered in the air. The palace was adorned with intricate carvings and vibrant murals that depicted the rich history of the Igbo people. It was not just a building. It was a symbol of unity, strength, and the cultural heritage of the community. The palace was ruled by the wise and benevolent King Obinaya, a man whose laughter echoed through the halls and whose kindness was felt by all. He was loved by his people, and they often gathered in the palace courtyard to seek his counsel. Among them was a spirited young woman named Adaeze, known for her fierce determination and steady loyalty to her community. She often dreamt of one day becoming a leader like King Obinaya, guiding her people through both joy and sorrow. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the palace, a sudden spark ignited in the kitchen. The flames danced wildly, consuming everything in their path. The palace, once a beacon of hope and joy, was engulfed in fire. The community watched in horror as the flames licked the walls, devouring the very essence of their heritage. The cries of despair echoed through the hills, and the air was thick with smoke and sorrow. As the last embers flickered out, the people of Umuokoro stood in silence, their hearts heavy with grief. The palace that had witnessed countless celebrations, weddings, and festivals was now reduced to ashes. King Obinaya, his heart shattered, addressed his people. "Though we have lost our home, we have not lost our spirit. Together, we will rise from these ashes and rebuild what was lost." In the days that followed, the community came together, united by a shared purpose. They gathered in the town square, each person bringing their skills and resources to the table. The elders shared stories of the past, reminding everyone of the strength that lay within their heritage. Adaeze, fueled by her passion for her people, took the lead in organizing the rebuilding efforts. "We will not only rebuild the palace, we will create a space that reflects our resilience and unity," she declared. As the work began, the community unearthed hidden treasures buried beneath the ashes. Old artifacts, once thought lost, were discovered in the ruins. There were ancient drums that had echoed with the rhythm of their ancestors, beautifully woven fabrics that told stories of their lineage and sacred. As they cleaned and restored these treasures, the people felt a renewed sense of pride. One day, while digging near the foundation of the palace, Adaeze stumbled upon a hidden chamber. Inside, she found a collection of scrolls, carefully preserved and filled with the wisdom of their forefathers. The scrolls spoke of courage, love, and the importance of community. Adaeze gathered the townsfolk and shared her discovery. "These scrolls are a gift from our ancestors. They remind us that even in the darkest times, we must hold on to hope and each other. Inspired by the scrolls, the community began to weave their stories into the new palace. They painted murals that depicted their journey from the struggles of the past to the triumphs of the present. Each brushstroke was a testament to their resilience, and as the palace took shape, it became a living embodiment of their spirit. Months passed, and the palace began to rise from the ashes, more beautiful than ever. The walls were adorned with vibrant colors, and the courtyard was filled with laughter and music as the community celebrated their progress. King Obinaya watched with pride as his people worked tirelessly, their determination shining through every effort. Finally, the day of the grand reopening arrived. The community gathered in the newly rebuilt palace, their hearts filled with joy and gratitude. King Obinaya stood before them, his voice steady and strong. Today, we celebrate not just the rebirth of our palace, but the rebirth of our spirit. We have shown that even in the face of adversity, we can rise together. The fire that burned our palace has only enhanced its splendor. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the palace, the people of Yumyokoro danced and sang, their voices echoing through the villages. The new palace stood tall, a symbol of resilience and unity, shining brighter than ever before. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope could be found, and together they could overcome any challenge. In the days that followed, the palace became a hub of activity. Festivals were held to celebrate their heritage, and the community came together to share stories and laughter. Adizi, inspired by her journey, began to teach the younger generation about their history, ensuring that the lessons of the past would never be forgotten. As the years passed, the Oku Palace became a place of learning, where the wisdom of the ancestors was shared, and the spirit of the community thrived. The people of Yumyokoro learned that true strength lay not in the absence of challenges, but in their ability to face them together. Welcome to our podcast, where we explore the beautiful tales of resilience and unity. Today, we delve into the story of the Oku Palace, a tale of loss, hope, and the power of community. The first moral we learn from this story is that unity is strength. When the palace was destroyed, the people of Uokoro came together, pooling their resources and skills to rebuild. In times of crisis, it is our collective strength that helps us rise above adversity. The second moral is that heritage is a treasure. As the community rebuilt the palace, they discovered hidden artifacts and stories that connected them to their past. It is essential to honor and preserve our history, for it shapes our identity and guides our future. The third moral is the importance of hope and resilience. Even when faced with devastating loss, the people of Yumyokoro found the courage to rebuild and create something even more beautiful. Hope is a powerful force that can light the way through the darkest of times. Lastly, we learn that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. The fire that destroyed the palace ultimately led to a stronger, more vibrant community. Embracing challenges can lead to unexpected blessings and new beginnings. Thank you for joining us today. Remember, like the people of Yumyokoro, we too can rise from the ashes and shine brighter than ever before. Until next time, stay resilient and united. In the end, the story of the Oku Palace is not just about a building. It is about the spirit of a community that refuses to be broken. It is a reminder that from the ashes of despair, new beginnings can emerge, and together, we can create a legacy that shines for generations to come.